Hi, everyone. First, I apologize for you having to look up my nose. My camera's all funky. I wanted to give you an example of what the case studies, the treatment formulation should look like. You guys did a really good job this week, but there are some pieces missing, so I want to make sure that you get those pieces in there. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go through the case of Mikey, what I'm looking for. So here is Mikey's case study, right? So Mikey's a 10-year-old male in fourth grade. This is the one that you did this week. He had some concerns at home. He had some concerns at school. He wants to make friends. He wants to do schoolwork, so he wants to get better. So what's going on with Mikey? So here's the first thing, right? These are just case studies, and you have to take them at face value. Only use the information that's given to you on the page. This is something that they do in the licensing exam, which you don't have to worry about for a very long time. But just to let you know, your clinical wisdom is going to jump in there. Your own biases are going to jump in there. Thoughts are going to jump in there. Just take it from what's on the page because the case studies are taken right from the DSM. So here's what it should look like. The case formulation should look like. So you put your date in there, your detailed client information. So everything that you're writing in here, you're taking right from the case study. Feel free to copy and paste it. You don't have to write paragraphs or anything like that. These are just kind of quick and dirty case studies to make sure that you understand the diagnosis part of it. So for Mikey, he is a 10-year-old male. He's in fourth grade. He's funny, good at math, helps his family take care of pets. I took that right from the case study itself, so feel free to copy and paste it. And then again, for the presenting problem, you can copy and paste as well. I did see a lot of you did this, but I want to make sure that when you are writing in here, you say that that the client reports or that the family reports. You're not giving your opinion of what's going on. You want to make it clear that this is what the client is reporting to you, and you're taking that information verbatim and listening to the client and thinking about what's going on. So for Mikey reports difficulty managing his materials, keeping himself organized. Mikey reports frequently losing his work, does not complete tasks. Again, I just copied and pasted exactly what was going on into the formulation, which you can 100% do. So here's the part I really want to talk about. So the diagnostic impression. You need to make sure in your DSM, so here's my DSM, which is falling apart. You need to make sure that you put the codes down because when you go into the field and you have to bill for insurance, you have to make sure that the ICD-10 codes are in there. So the ICD-10 codes are these F codes. You have to make sure the F code is in there. So for each diagnostic impression, you want to make sure that you have your initial diagnosis, a rule out, and a Z code. So just to go over that again, your initial diagnosis is what you think is happening, right? So for Mikey, my initial diagnosis is ADHD, predominantly inattentive presentation. Why do I believe that this is happening for Mikey? So I go to the DSM, I look at the criteria for ADHD, predominantly inattentive presentation, and I say, oh, these are things that are happening with this client. So for your diagnostic impression, you have to list the criteria under the diagnosis that fit the client that you're talking about. So in Mikey's case, his symptoms have systems. It's not symptoms. His symptoms have persisted for at least 6 months. And here's the criteria that he falls into. So criteria A, he often fails to give close attention to detail. B, difficulty sustaining attention in play or tasks, and then etc. You have to make sure for each diagnosis, each initial diagnosis that you're giving, you're telling me why. You're putting the criteria in there. You also have to have a rule out. So if you remember from the first module, I talked to you about rule outs. The wording around rule out has always been super confusing to me. So you have to think of it this way. A rule out is something that you think might be going on, but you need more information to rule out. So in Mikey's case, yes, he's presenting with inattentiveness, but you need to rule out if there is some hyperactivity as well. So a rule out might be ADHD combined presentation. And the way to rule that out is to have more sessions with the client. So again, the rule out is something that you think might be happening, but you just need more information to see if it is or it's not. Oh, my spelling is killing it. The other thing with Mikey is the rule out that I put is generalized anxiety disorder. So in kids, anxiety shows up like a lot of other different things. So I make sure to when I'm working with kids to always do some sort of rule out around generalized anxiety just to see if it's happening or not. So again, the rule out is something you think might be happening, but you need more information to figure out. Then you must list the Z codes, and this is where everybody kind of gets tripped up. So the Z codes are in the front of your DSM. They are after all of the disorder codes. And so the Z codes are other conditions that may be a focus of clinical attention. Practitioners use Z codes to talk to each other. This is a language to talk to another provider, right? So you got to figure out what is going on in this client's life, and then what Z code does that fall into. So for Mikey's case, he's having academic or educational problems. So his Z code is Z65.9. You cannot bill for Z codes. They're not billable under insurance, but they are necessary because they're the language that you're talking to other providers with. The other thing is you can have as many Z codes if you want, as you want. For Mikey, I felt like only one fit in there, but as the cases get harder this semester, you might have 2 or 3 Z codes, and that's okay. So just to review, under the diagnostic impression, you need your initial diagnosis, your rule outs, and your Z codes for every single one. I didn't take points off for those things this time, but I'm going to take points off as we move. And then your treatment plan, this is not a treatment class. So you can be vague with your treatment plan. Look up, you can literally Google like best practice treatment for ADHD. We know it's a consultation with a pediatrician, and it's a combination of behavioral therapy, medication, and family therapy. So you can be very brief with your treatment plan. I'm really looking at the diagnosis for this. And then you sign it and you put the date, and that's what you hand in. So if you have any questions about that, hopefully this video helps you. I am happy to meet with you. I'm happy to do a quick Zoom so we can do another one together. Just shoot me an email and let me know what would be the most helpful for you. Okay, I'm going to stop this video. And again, I appreciate you looking at my nose. See ya.